and welcome to the Tahoe Rim. And for those of you who don't know, I've just finished walking the Tahoe Rim trail about 10 days ago, and so I'm going to be going through some gear and letting you know what I would and wouldn't take, and yeah, what I really used and what I found not so useful, what we needed to grab while we were in town, and all that. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Tahoe Rim Trail for those of you who haven't heard of it or who want to know a little bit more, give a bit of a review on it, and talk a bit about my experience of it and how I found it. So let's kick it off with some gear. So I have a big bag of clothes and everything. I'm just going to work my way through it. I'm kicking off with a big thing, sleeping bag. Now, I'm not saying don't bring anything to sleep in, because, you know, you need like something. I thought my sleeping bag was much too hot, and I think a quilt would be better. So if I had the big budget, I would have got a quilt instead of a sleeping bag, purely because the temperature didn't go below about 5 degrees, or I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it didn't go that low at night, which not as low as I was expecting, definitely. Every night I slept in shorts and t-shirt, and you know, I was often too hot in this. It could be part of the issue that I am a bit of a stretcher in my sleep. I like to just, you know, starfish, and that's not very appropriate in a sleeping bag. So yeah, not sure about that one, but I'm not going to put it in the no pile. I'm going to put it in the yes pile, because I did use it, but that's what I'll say. This one's a very hot one. This is a Siege Summit Spark X3, and it's a good sleeping bag for very cold temperatures. I just didn't need it because it wasn't that cold. So I guess it did the job a bit too well. Okay, next. Now, this is another slightly divisive one, because I think this really depends on who you are. But camp shoes, these aren't mine, these are my dad's. He's put loads of holes in them to try and save weight. But camp shoes, I'm saying no. Do you know why? Because I think it's so unneeded extra weight, but I think that's me personally. I didn't take any, and I'm glad I didn't take any. My dad sent his home, I think, but my mum really used hers. Now the thing is, if you do get some, like, if you decide, and I'm a bit unsure on this one, but if you did decide, for instance, to bring some Crocs or something, because that's, you know, when you're getting in and out of your tent or taking your shoes off, you might, or you get into camp, you want to give your feet some air, you might not want to wear your walking shoes. That does come in handy also, because there is lakes, and some of them have like stones and the foot are a little bit like sludgy. If you did want to go for a quick dip, then like shoes would be better for that. But honestly, I don't think you need them, because at the end of the day, you come into camp, you make your food, whatever, you set up your tent, and then you take your shoes off and you go to bed. And I don't think there's not much getting, for me personally, unless you're like someone who goes to the toilet lots in the night or something, I just don't think you need them. But yeah, personal opinion. Sleeping mat. This is it's a very good sleeping mat, and it's an inflatable one. Z mats are also. I really want a Z mat or a Z mat or whatever, because I think that I could cut it a bit shorter, and I would quite like to have a sleeping mat that just fit my torso, because I'm young and I can get away with it. So I'd rather save the weight. But I would say yes, this is a very good sleeping mat. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me. It's just slipped my mind, so I'll put it here. That's a sleeping mat. It's a good sleeping mat. Okay, now, head torch. I would not. It's in the no pile, because I would not bother bringing a head torch. You need it, a torch. But head torch is unnecessary amount of torch, unless you're a night hiker. But if you're just going to be like walking around the day, it goes dark. It goes dark quite late. So you don't really need one, unless, again, you're someone who goes to the toilet a lot in the night, or gets up in the night or whatever. But I would bring a little handheld, because I didn't use my head torch. But yeah. First aid. Now, maybe I'm a little bit careless with this stuff, and I think this isn't all the first aid we took. I would say we took about 4 of these bags full of things. Now that's mainly due to my parents being parents, and they're taking their family, so they want to look after everybody, and that's fair enough. Now I do think that there are probably about, I'm no medical professional by the way, but I would say there's about 5 or 6 essentials that you need, and everything else is just planning for the worst case scenario. And now that is all well and good, and if that helps you sleep at night, then that's great, but it adds a lot of extra weight. And at the end of the day, if you really get injured, you're probably not more than like 5 to 10 miles from a trailhead, where you can reach a road, get an Uber, and even if you did go on a side trail, you'd probably be able to get off faster. And so I do think that the trail is kind of, you can get off it and if you really need to, and therefore you don't need to bring all the stuff. I don't know. That's again, that's a bit of a controversial one, but we didn't use a lot of it. I would say blister plasters, micropore or moleskin, paracetamol, ibuprofen, and normal plasters. You're definitely going to use those. Anything else is down to you, I suppose. Now, I am going to give you a review of the Lanshan tent, which my dad got off Amazon. Right, so, start the trail. Now, this actually is my mum's opinion. We started the trail and my mum got COVID the day we started, which is not a good start. And, so we put her in the quarantine tent, which was this one. Now, my mum struggled in this tent because she got up and down a lot, and she moves a lot in the night, I guess. And they kept on falling down on her in the middle of the night, and things like that. And I think it was partly due to mine and Tom's dodgy setting up. And then when me and Tom moved into this tent after she got better, we struggled with it. Every time you got out, the poles would fall in you and it would just collapse all the time. And it sort of got to the point where it was like, right, okay, we've got to get in the tent once and just stay in and not leave till the morning, because otherwise it's going to fall over and it will come unhinged and stuff. But eventually, I would say, unfortunately, it was when we had about 3 nights left to go. We really got the hang of putting up this tent, and yeah, we got good at it and found it quite easy. I think the key is kind of just getting used to the whole, like, not knocking the trekking balls. It's a bit fragile compared to this, the MSR Carbon Reflex Free. Oh, I love this tent. That's all I can say. I love this tent. It fit me, my dad, and my brother, and we're all over 6 foot, and it fit us 3 in the tent. It never falls down. It's very spacious, and it's lighter than this. And this has poles, so this is a very light tent. And it's nice and spacious, and it's a good tent, as I've said. So MSR Carbon Reflex Free. If you can afford it, obviously, and it's in your budget, it's a very good tent. It's in the Yes Pal. This. You know what, I'm going to go with yes as well, because I think once you get the hang of it, I think the issue was we hadn't, as I said in my first video, we hadn't tried this out before we set off on the trail, so I think if we'd have really got the hang of setting it up. If I used it again, if someone said to me, right, you've got to go camping for a month and use this tent, I'd be like, okay, I'd be good at it. And I think it wouldn't fall down on me, but I think at the start it's difficult to get the hang of. But it's light, and it's a good tent overall. I'd give it a thumbs up. So it's going to the yes pile. Oh, okay. I've got 2 here. Now, 2 things. Bug spray and, or bug repellent, and these bug head nets. Oh, it looks absolutely gorgeous, number 1, so I think that's one of the reasons you take it. And also, I would say you need these. Now, I think the amount of bugs is exaggerated by day hikers, especially around Desolation Wilderness. You see all these people walking and they're covered heads. They're like in long sleeve clothes and like waterproofs, and they're dripping with sweat from wearing so many clothes, bug nets on. I saw about 10 mosquitoes in Desolation Wilderness. The issue was before then, it was between Big Meadow and Desolation Wilderness. The mosquitoes are absolutely terrible. I'll just put in a picture now of my arm and my leg after one night around Lake, and just for that night, I'm glad I carried a bug net. I'd really recommend carrying one of these, even just to protect you, to stop you from going insane at the amount of buzzing. This one, just, you know, when you feel like there's a mosquito when you wear it, well, this is going to stop that, especially if you put a hat underneath it. I'll show you the full look. Hat on, but I think this is how you're meant to wear it. Hat on, right, and then bug net over the top. There you go. And you've got protection from all sides, and even on your neck as well, and your ears and stuff from bugs getting on your face, which is good. and repellent. Now, first we got to 3 days in, and we needed some repellent with DEET in it. Now, DEET's a bit of a compromise because DEET will possibly destroy your equipment, so a little bit, because it's so strong, and it's probably not particularly good for your health if it's like you're not poisoning yourself with DEET. But it does seem to stop the mosquitoes, because as I said on that night where I got all bitten, people camping like on the other side of the lake where the mosquitoes were just as bad, I saw them the next day, not a single bite. And I said, what happened? I said, we used DEET. No, and yeah. And Mum's, and we all saw ourselves in Mum's natural repellent, and it didn't work. So I would say, to be honest, you just got to trust the good stuff or the bad stuff on that one. Just make sure not to get it on your clothes. Okay, and the next bit of kit I've got to show you is waterproofs. Now I remember saying in my first video, oh, I'm not going to take the waterproof trousers. Thank goodness I didn't take the waterproof trousers, because I did not need them. These are just dead weight at the bottom of my pack. So in there they go, and that is because we didn't see. And now I don't count this, but we didn't see, like, we saw like 10 clouds max in 13 days. Like, it was so dry. Like, we kind of wished for a bit of cloud, never mind rain. So honestly, I didn't see much rain at all. I think depends what time you go. So we went start of July, or like mid-July, so I think that's actually a particularly dry season in comparison to maybe August and September, which I think will be a bit wetter. But yeah, definitely did not need those at all. And even if it was a sprinkling of rain, like, would have been okay. Yeah. Okay, so soy squeeze. Obviously you need a water filter. I really recommend the soy squeeze. Just a quick tip. Soy squeeze do tend to, if you don't use them, or if you've used them a lot, after we got our old soy squeeze, and we haven't used that in 3 years, and it wouldn't work. Luckily we tested it before we set out on the trail, so we had to buy a new one. But yeah, these are really great water filters, and you have to filter quite a lot of water from like lakes, which the water is a little bit, you know, you can really taste it's come from a lake, and as much as you try and find, oh, this is tick box, as much as you try and find a fresh mountain stream, it's not always possible, so because the water is very limited on this trail. So our little life hack. Now obviously you can get like good electrolyte ones and everything. I couldn't find them, so we just got some of these Crystal Light sachets of I think that's mostly sweetener, to be honest, but flavoured sachets, which just tip into your water. They're really light, obviously. Tip them into your water, shake it up, and yeah, honestly, we got raspberry lemonade, lemon and lime. Like, they were like good flavours. So and they made you kind of keep hydrated, because you change the taste of your water from tasting disgusting to tasting nice. So they were really, really helpful. So I'd really recommend something like that. We met a guy who actually gave us, this got us inspired, gave us the Gatorade sachet, which was really, really good. So you can get ones like that as well. But that's what we got. And I think that's everything from there. Now, next is gaiters. Now, if you don't know what gaiters are, they are sort of stretchy piece of fabric which hook onto the end of your shoes. Now, if you've never seen them before, here's one I made earlier. Yeah, so as you can see, they hook onto the front and they wrap round. I took them into my socks. I don't know how they're actually probably meant to be worn, but these stop stones from going in your shoe. And I would say these trails are, like a lot of the trails on this Tahoe Rim trail, are like very good trails, like well established, like you know where you're going, they're pretty safe. A lot of them feel like they're kind of on ridges, but you don't feel like you're going to fall off. Well, I didn't anyway, and I'm quite clumsy. But they all are a little bit stony, like little rocks, and dusty as well. And so to save your feet from getting completely filthy and stones, having to stop to get stones out your shoes, I found that these gaiters, I never stopped. I don't think I ever stopped to get a stone out of my shoe, because they just stopped that completely. So I rate these. My mum actually made these, but you can get them from, I think Dirty Girls is the biggest brand for that, which are meant to be very good. Now, here is something, I took both of these, and I'm not going to put any of them in the cross or the tick, because it's down to you, but a puffer jacket and a fleece. I would pick one or the other because it's very warm and it gets cold at night, and I'd put either one of these on at night, but I never needed both. So, and I could have been alright without, but I would recommend puffer because I feel like it's more versatile than a fleece. But then a fleece you can kind of wear in warmer weather. So yeah, up to you. But to save weight, so literally half the weight, I would take one or the other of a puffer jacket and a fleece because it doesn't get cold enough to need both. But you do need long sleeve clothes just for mosquitoes. And okay, this is the last on my list. Possibly the last thing I have is a hat and sun cream. I'm gonna take this off now. And that's in the tick file. Sorry, and that's because the sun is very strong, and it's like feels, you know, you could feel like you get burnt quite easily, but you also feel very exposed for a lot of the trail. And there was some days that it felt like they hardly had any tree coverage, especially on the Nevada side. Now I kind of like the dryness actually, I'm not going to lie, I like how barren it is. It's just how I like it, but it's very different to our home, I think that's probably why. But I would say that you kind of feel like really overwhelmed by it if you don't get some sort of shade thing. Some people have umbrellas coming out of their packs. I don't know, that seems like a lot of weight to me when you could just wear a hat, but if you do struggle with the sun, this trail could be a bit difficult, to be honest. But the nice thing is, there's a lot of really good lakes and stuff, so yeah, that's why I would say, and I don't have this on me, if you're into your little luxury items like I am, I took a bikini, and did I use it? Yes, I used it, because there were some really great lakes and I didn't want to strip, you know, so I didn't want to go in fully clothed because I had to carry on walking after, so I took a bikini and just switch into it. Get in those lakes, because that's, you know, you're there to enjoy yourself, and I think that, you know, yeah, that's, you know, that's part of the fun, so, thumbs up. Oh, one more thing, how could I forget? The biggest thing, the bear can. Now, obviously, you need a bear can. That's going in the tick thing. It's actually a requirement in Desolation Wilderness. It's quite unfortunate, really, because it's good for the bears and everything, but it's very heavy. This is 1 kilo or 2 pounds, or might be even more, it might be 1.5. And you're saving all this weight by saying, oh, don't quite bring the first aid or the camp shoes or whatever. Then you have this really heavy bear can which you have to stuff full of food, and yeah, it's a bit of an annoying weight. And honestly, I think if you had a way of doing it, we didn't, because you kind of had nowhere to post it, but after going through the Desolation Wilderness, when you arrive at Tahoe City, you could send it home for the rest of your trip, because you don't really need it for the rest of it, obviously. So yeah, the bear can is a bit of a pain, and also it's $90. Oh, that's some money. $90. Yeah, it was kind of expensive, and you can get titanium ones, but they are about triple the price, but they weigh less. So yeah, it's a bit annoying. We put most of our food in there, and then stuff that wouldn't fit, especially like cosmetics or like our bowls and stuff, hang them on a tree. People say you shouldn't do that because the bears will knock it down and stuff, but we didn't see a bear, so they probably saw a bear. Definitely saw us, I'm sure of it. Somewhere they were peeking around from the trees, but yeah, we didn't have any bear activity, I don't believe. Although we did hear rumours, but we didn't actually see any. So anyway, I'm just going to talk about the trail a little bit. So if you just wanted to see the gear, then that's all done. But that's the next segment. So the Tahoe Rim Trail, as I have mentioned in a video before, but it's on a 170-mile trail around Lake Tahoe in California and Nevada. And yeah, it took us 13 days, including a 0, and 1 day where we just walked 3 miles. So he said 12 or 10, like 11 days. But we did like a daily average of about 17, kind of like 7, when we added up, it seemed like 16, 17 miles, which I thought was a good amount. I don't know, it depends. I could have done more. My parents were happy at doing that, and some people obviously want to take it slow. And honestly, I don't think what you do, you should just do what you enjoy, because at the end of the day, that's what it's for. We were on holiday, that's what we just kept reminding ourselves. So we didn't need to like go too hardcore. We didn't need to. So yeah, that I would just say, just run your own race. Some days I kind of wish we'd stopped off a bit more, because just stop and take it in and enjoy the view, because that's why you're there. But overall, I think we went at a good pace. I could have gone a bit faster, but yeah. But I would say that this trail was absolutely fantastic, and I think that the level that it was, I think everybody could do it. Like, because but I think most fit people who like walking, and who you know are like able to do this kind of thing, could do it, because I think it's very achievable trail to finish. The most annoying thing is probably like the obstacles get in the way of like snow and wildfires and the heat, really. But in terms of actual like impact on your feet, I think that it's not too bad. The inclines are quite gradual. Generally, there's some tough climbs, but like there is on every walk, and yeah, I think overall it's a good trail, and I think it's achievable for a lot of people. I really enjoyed it. It's one of the best things I've ever done, and yeah, I thought the views were incredible. I just want to go back. Honestly, after this trail, I want to do the PCT so bad. So you know, if you can just fund that would be great. But no, I don't think I'm going to do it for I don't think I'm going to do it for a while. It's going to take a bit. It's going to be years yet, but one day I want to do the PCT. I think it'll be amazing. But I would say this trail, the pros and cons. Pros: amazing lakes to swim in. Lake Aloha, Lake Susie, Echo Lake. Were absolutely beautiful. It had amazing views, and like the water was crystal clear, and it just like, it was amazing. And because it's fresh water, it just feels so nice, and just because you really needed a wash as well, it was amazing. So I would say the lakes themselves really good. The views, obviously, you know, it's Lake Tahoe, they're going to be good views, but they blew me away. And the fact, I almost felt like I got desensitized because I see, like, I don't know, you just like, from the moment we started, I think Kingsbury grade was a very good place to start, actually, because I think it was a really nice introduction to the trail. You got to go, like, there was some nice stops at the start, and I think, it was a good place to start, and there was really good views. But the views were incredible, and just getting to see the different sides. And I also thought that having the lake in the middle, walking around it, you kind of got to see, like, you could sort of see, we see where you walk from, because you're weaving around all the mountain ranges, well, not mountain ranges, all the mountain passes around the lake. But also you kind of got to see like different perspective of the lake to kind of remind you that you were actually getting somewhere, which was really nice. So that was great. The views were incredible. And I would say my third pro, I would say the weather is a pro and a con. But for me, I love the heat. So it was a big pro for me, because you didn't have to think about the weather like at all. You didn't have to think, well, apart from drinking enough, like you didn't have to worry about rain or too much about wind or storms, which I'm sure are possible around that region. But you know, for us, we didn't experience any, or even like getting too cold. It was good weather. And I would say the main cons were, firstly, California is, or especially the Tahoe area, it's a very expensive place to be. It's like, you know, it seems, and I don't really know much about like the American like culture around all of this, but Tahoe seems to be a very big holiday destination for people from all over. And you see the cars and the hotels and the casinos, and so both Tahoe City and South Lake Tahoe, State Line, they're very rich places and very rich areas, and therefore it's really expensive to stay in. We thought we were getting a good deal for getting a $200 for 4 people in a hostel, not in a hostel, in a motel, and we paid $250 for a hostel. So it's not cheap, and I think that if you're going to do it, you kind of have to factor in that price into your head. And also just food and stuff is expensive as well, but I don't know if that's just America, because I'm used to the UK prices, which, although still expensive, on like a third of the price. Like you're talking like something really average. Nothing quite comes to mind right now, but like something you would just pay £1 for. was like a 5, you know, that was just normal. So it was really strange, and it was something that I don't think we were really expecting. I mean, I know you think like, oh yeah, like LA's going to be expensive and stuff, but I think, yeah. So I would say that's kind of like, there's ways around it, and we definitely found ways around it, but yeah, it's difficult to navigate through that, especially if you're a bit sort of naive English people like us. And then second con would be the sun. It felt like a lot. I kind of mentioned it earlier in this video, but it's like you have a lot of sun exposure, so if you don't like that, then it's kind of tough. And I would say the third con, mosquitoes. Not all the way, so mosquitoes aren't bad all the way around. It was like 4 nights in different locations where it was bad, but honestly, like, most nights were fine. It was just like the odd one, and if you have good repellent, it's okay. But I found the worst places. Went to camp at Page Meadows. That was really bad because it was like camping in a bog. So then the mosquitoes weren't awful, but that's because we dived in our tents at 8 o'clock and didn't emerge, and then packed up really fast and ran because we could sort of hear the distant buzzing. And then Round Lake was dreadful, and there was another meadow, Barker Meadow, that was pretty bad as well. So yeah, but I would say honestly that you might have a campsite in mind that you plan to go to, but then you walk through it, and as soon as you stop, 3 mosquitoes landing you. You better just keep walking for a little bit, I'd say. That's me personally. But I have an issue with flying insects. Honestly, one comes near me and I feel like it's literally like flying in my mind. It literally makes me, you just want to scream. It makes me so angry. It's the thing that makes me most irritable is mosquitoes or like flies. I don't know why. But yeah, so maybe it's just a me problem. Okay, and I would say a fourth con, which I kind of forgot. But there is more pros than cons, I've said, but it's just because there's more things to mention with cons. That's just like not stating the obvious. But water there was pros and cons to having it dry. It was good because it meant there was less rain. The terrain was not muddy, and your shoes didn't get wet. And it also often did mean less mosquitoes. But there was a few days it was like we had to get like water from a rubbish water source, and then like walk with it 18 miles, 25 miles, and that was really difficult. I think the hardest parts were going Grey Lake. Oh yeah, sorry. Going Watson Lake to Grey Lake was about 18 miles, and you'd have to walk all day because there's no water, and the water near there was basically non-existent apart from the lake itself, which was that was one of the worst lakes. Watson Lake was not the nicest water, but the Grey Lake water was good. And then there's another one where you're going from Marlette Campground all the way. You got Spooner Lake, again, that's lake water, but it's alright. But there is also water cache there, which is often left at the trailhead. But I wouldn't rely on it because there wasn't loads. So, but you can check the dates on it as well. We found one that was like for weeks and weeks ago, and you think this person obviously either didn't use it or didn't get to this part of the trail. I don't know if that's bad. So sorry if I stole your water, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it's important because otherwise it's just going to be left plastic bottles. And also, I would say, I don't know if it's the job of the hikers or the trail angels to take the bottles home, but if there is a bin about them, probably recycling the bottles is better than leaving them there. And then going all the way to Tramway, that means you have to come off the trail for water, but if you don't get off there, it's going to be miles before your next water source. So I think that was difficult, just because it's extra weight, you know, you're saving all this weight and like cutting your toothbrushes in half, cutting holes in your shoes, just to end up carrying kilos and kilos of water is a bit of a pain. Now we worked out that, well, we didn't work out, that's a lie. We asked the PCT hiker, hey, what's your water hacks, like, how much water should you take? And then he said, because you don't want to risk it and not take enough and get really dehydrated. I've had heat stroke before and I really don't want it again. So we asked him how much we should take, and he said 1.7 litres for every 10 miles per person. Now we stuck to that because we trusted this dude. He looked like a hardcore hiker, and that stood us in good stead for the trail. And if you've got any questions about the trail, by the way, then it's all going to be, I'll answer anything in the comments, or if you want me to answer it in a video, I can do that as well. So yeah, or any gear stuff or trail stuff, all of that. But I would also say I don't know anything about signal, because I've heard there's really good 4G around the lake. So I'm British, if you couldn't tell. I'm British, and I didn't get 4G because you had to buy a package of £6 a day, and I was like, I'm not paying £6 a day. So I just had to wait until the end. Campsites that we stayed at were the Mount Rose base camp. Was really nice. I don't know if it was allowed, because nowhere else had fire pits, but this place we were allowed to have a bonfire, which was really fun. And Marlette was also nice because there was a lot of other hikers there, just because it's the last water source of miles, and so really enjoyed that. And also camping around the Desolation Wilderness, which is absolutely incredible. That was my favourite part of the trail, by the way. Desolation Wilderness, as many people would say, it's incredible. But I also really liked basically the whole Nevada side. Spooner was amazing. And walking on the way down to Marlette Campground was really nice as well. But anyway, I'm saying all these names, you might have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, but if you are looking into the trail, then yeah, keep them ones in mind, yeah. But honestly, amazing trail, and I would recommend it to anybody who likes walking. And yeah, I think I've been talking for ages, so I think that should probably be the end of this video. But please, if you've got any more questions, ask them in the comments, and I'll be sure to reply. Thank you very much for watching. Our next adventure will probably be next year, I imagine. Although I will try and video any little walking or fun things that my brother do that involve the Tahoe trekkers, because we do quite like pushing ourselves. We've got plans to try and do some really long walking days just to like beat some records. So that would be fun. But I'll probably video those just because, why not? But I think our next adventures will probably be in Europe, because we spend a lot of time in France, and so possibly GR51 or the GR10. I personally, as I just said, want to do the PCT. The JMT is a big one. Tour de Mont Blanc, Arizona Trail. I could go on. I can't afford to do any of these things, but hopefully over the next few years or so, I'll just keep ticking on. So please keep an eye out for any more videos, and if you have any questions, then put them in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching.